Dad don't like scary movies and he's stinky.
Heard it here first, folks.
Hi, welcome to Married to Macabre. I'm Isaac.
And I'm Dee, and we're back.
We are finally. Took a little hiatus, but we are back.
Yes, recovering from an odd industry.
I
guess
injuries.
that could be argued too, but no, from a odd injury to my left shoulder that surprisingly hurt even when I sat down. And it was
Happens.
completely debilitating, and I highly do not recommend herniating a disc or tearing anything in your shoulder. 10 out of 10, do not recommend. Don't do it. So, with that being said,
Yes.
we're back, and we're ready to go, and we promise more consistent episodes for all 7 of our listeners. We love you, and we love the feedback.
Thank you guys. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Gigi.
Thanks, Mom. Thanks, besties. So, Isaac,
Yes.
did you have fun last time?
I did. It was great. I had a great time. Even though I don't sound too excited, I have a great time. I promise.
Isaac thinks he doesn't sound excited and that he sounds bored, and I don't agree. But I promise you he's not bored. He's laughing on the other side of the mic. I promise. So today we're going to do something a little bit different.
What's up?
Don't look too nervous. It's still true crime. We're still covering a true crime case, and it is sadly a murder, but this time there is a little supernatural element to it.
Is there?
There is. And,
Ghosts?
yes, and I don't want to give away too much, so it's a little supernatural, but it is a true story. It is true crime, and I think it's really interesting.
All right. Let's get started.
Okay. That being said, we're going to
Yes.
talk about the case of Teresita Basa.
Great.
Okay, Teresita Basa was born in 1929 in the Philippines to 2 pretty well-off business people, and she was educated. She got her degree at a university in the Philippines, but she's always had a love for music, and she wanted to pursue that. She wanted to get a master's degree in music, and that journey led her to immigrate to the United States in the 1960s to follow her passion.
Okay.
Yep. So, however, as we all know, life kind of took its turns as it usually does. And while she was pursuing her passion for music, she got a little, I don't want to say derailed, but she side quested because she loved helping people. So she also became a respiratory therapist.
Okay.
She didn't let it derail her. She was still going after her master's in music, but she was working as a respiratory therapist. She was single. She was living a quiet life in Chicago, Illinois, and began working at the Edgewater Hospital as part of a team of respiratory therapists. She also taught piano lessons out of her apartment and was still following her dream and working towards that doctorate degree in music. So this is a sweet
Yeah.
little immigrant woman from the Philippines.
With a good heart, wants to help people.
Exactly. She is teaching children how to play piano. Like, it's just like the quintessential, adorable. Like, I feel like if I imagined, and I've seen her photo, so she
So
fits it perfect.
What happens to her?
Yeah, it's not good.
Is
But
she a ghost or?
you gotta listen. You gotta wait. You gotta wait for the plot. Okay? So, as I said, Teresita was a very petite woman. Why are you laughing?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
She was a petite woman described as quiet and unassuming by her friends and coworkers. She lived a very simple life that she seemed very content with. She didn't have a boyfriend per se, but, she was dating and just kind of going through, she was a single woman working, living alone, and just making her way. She was...
Yeah, starting her new life.
Exactly.
Adult life. Career.
And across the board, nobody can explain any type of enemy she would have. She was never a gossiper. She was just a good person. Your classic, unfortunately, victim where everyone says, except this time, really, everyone's answer was, I cannot imagine who would have anything against Teresita. sadly, in 1977, the little quiet life that she seemed so content with all would drastically change horribly.
In the Philippines?
No, here in the United
Oh, here in
States.
the United
She moved to the U.S. in the 1960s,
All right.
and then now we're in 1977.
Yeah.
So on February 21st, 1977, another resident of Teresita's apartment building called 911, and they were reporting that they smelled smoke, and they didn't know where it was coming from, because this was a high-rise building, so
Yeah.
tons of apartments. So this person was home and smelled something burning, didn't know where it was coming from, but only could say that the smell of fire was very, very strong. So they called 911, reported it, the firefighters came, and as they arrived, they quickly determined where the smoke was coming from. And it was coming from Teresita's 15th floor apartment.
She cooking food?
Sadly, no.
Oh, God.
It was a horrible fire. I couldn't get like a clear answer on what floor the neighbor reported it. It could have been down the hall, it could have been another floor, I'm not sure, but the smoke was billowing when the firefighters arrived. So they were sure it wasn't just a small kitchen fire. It was, the apartment was on fire.
Intentional, yeah.
Not even. It just, something could have happened, but whatever it was now out of control. So the firefighters arrived, they determined where it was coming from. They worked to get the fire under control, and thankfully they were able to do so. And they were finally able to enter the apartment and fully see the damage, and if anyone was hurt, because they didn't hear any screaming, they didn't know anything going on really. They just knew that a woman lived there, because another neighbor said, there's a woman who lives alone in there. So they were trying to look around. They didn't see any evidence of her, but sadly, they found her. But the fire and the smoke hadn't killed her. Teresita was actually found under a mattress, stripped naked, stabbed in the chest with a butcher knife that was left protruding from her body.
So somebody murdered her and then wanted to destroy any evidence. Just wanted to get rid of everything, right?
Exactly. And so they didn't even try to hide the fact that she was murdered.
Yeah, they just left her there, beaten, stabbed, right?
With the knife still sticking out of her chest. Like they weren't trying to hide anything.
Knife in the chest?
Protruding from her body. That's how she was found.
Yeah.
I'm sure that whoever did it was trying to also get rid of the body. They probably thought you could just like burn a body and it'd be gone.
Sure.
But, so, I mean, it didn't seem like it was a crime either well planned out or by, some type of serial offender, right? It seemed
Like an
very
expert.
messy. Yeah, it seemed very sudden and messy.
Well, I mean, you're stabbing somebody, leaving them there, covering them with a mattress, and then burning the entire building down.
Yeah,
Doesn't seem professional.
Exactly. It doesn't seem well thought out.
Sure.
Exactly. It wasn't,
That's
if anything, exactly. I don't know if professional is the right word for us to use, but if anything, it just was not thought out.
Well, I'm not saying like
No,
professional.
I know what you mean.
I'm
I know
just
what you
saying,
mean.
Like somebody that's done this before, like a Dexter type, right?
Yeah, or like
Sure,
somebody, a serial offender. Exactly. Someone who knows what they're doing. This seems like an opportunity that got a little out of control and then an attempt to just try to get it under control. So she was found under the mattress, like I said, with the knife protruding from her. So someone had come into this poor, quiet woman's apartment, brutally murdered her, ransacked the apartment, and then lit the apartment on fire to conceal evidence, just like you said. The autopsy later confirmed what was pretty clear to the police, obviously, but that indeed she died from the single stab wound to her chest and not the smoke inhalation. And
Poor thing.
yeah, but thankfully, I mean, it's sad that this is what we have to hold on to, but thankfully there was no evidence of sexual assault.
Yeah, right.
So, I mean, when something this horrific happens, you got to hold on to something, right? So at least she didn't suffer that, but she suffered
she
plenty.
succumbed.
It doesn't make anything
She
easier.
still suffered, yeah.
So
Poor
obviously, yeah, poor thing. Obviously, the police are called, right? And they arrive at the apartment to investigate. And honestly, the police admit they had very little to go on, because while the fire did destroy most of the evidence, They did find one promising clue in her date book, because remember, this is back in the 1970s. So you remember, like, all our moms.
Yeah, they wrote down in that little spiral thing,
no, that's a Rolodex.
The Rolodex, the spiraling thing. What am I saying?
That's the phone numbers and the passwords. But no, like, like a little
like a little note
calendar,
and they wrote down something.
They wrote down like basically our whole days, their whole plans. Like, it was like a tiny little Bob. Yes, okay. So she had a date book. And that date book didn't get destroyed in the fire. And something on that day said, quote, "Get tickets for AS."
Okay.
So it could be the initials of a show, the initials of a movie, the initials of a person. It's vague, but it's all they have. There's no physical evidence.
No fingerprints on the knife.
Not that was mentioned in any of the research I did. There was no physical, like, that's not what they relied on. So they've got little to no physical evidence because everything was on fire. Remember, when the firefighters arrived, it was smoldering. It wasn't like it had just been lit. So this is literally their only clue.
Gotcha.
No physical evidence other than this, basically. So, of course, the police start questioning people close to Teresita. And the only thing of interest that comes up is a acquaintance mentioning that Teresita had been dating someone that she argued with recently.
Come on.
That's literally all they got.
Case closed.
Right? Well, who is it? Who is it always?
It's always the significant other. The significant otter. Come on,
significant otter.
Case closed. I should have been a detective.
Sure.
No?
Yeah, absolutely.
Respect to all the cops out there. I don't know shit. You guys do an amazing job.
Some sources say that they argued a lot. Others sources say that it was kind of like a comment in passing, like, oh, I had an argument with him. There really is not a lot of details on any of her romantic relationships across the board. I couldn't find anything because essentially the guy she was dating that they had said, oh, yeah, they got into a fight recently, he was cleared.
Oh, how was he? What was he?
It's not him, Isaac.
No, I know it was not him. Duh.
I don't know. You were like, case closed. I'm like, well, about that.
Case closed. But what, did they interrogate him and his story lined up?
Yeah, they looked into him. Again, there was no real reporting on how they cleared him, but it was.
Oh, okay. So
he was cleared pretty quickly, so I'm sure it had to do with, there was no DNA testing back then, but I'm sure it had to do with either an alibi or interrogation. Something cleared the guy really quick. So another friend had said before her death that she had mentioned that she was having a male friend come over on the day she died.
What's that guy?
They just said male friend. They said that they never confirmed the date. The date. They never confirmed if it was a date, who it was. It just was kind of like, yeah, this guy's coming over today. No name, no reason, nothing. No details on who it was or why. So this is literally all police have to go on. A weird note about tickets for whoever or whatever AS is. A male friend coming over, and a boyfriend that people knew she had fought with at some point around her death. So as you would suspect, the case goes pretty stale for a while. As we mentioned, one way or another, the boyfriend was pretty quickly cleared by the police. They said that there was no way it was him. What?
Yeah, no, I'm just laughing at what I said. And how quick I was.
Yeah.
I was judging someone
and how you'd be a great detective.
Yeah.
Sorry. Anyway.
Obviously, that's false.
Obviously, we have proved a point.
It was the boyfriend, damn it.
Not the boyfriend. And so, nonetheless, he was cleared of any involvement, and now that leaves the police at a complete dead end.
What about that guy that came over?
Well,
what's his name?
That's the problem. We don't have a name.
Oh.
Hello? I just said that.
You did.
We still don't know the guy's name.
We don't know the guy's name.
Or why he was there.
But if his initials are AS, what do you think is going to happen?
Then we have a lead. But the problem is the two things are separate. Get tickets for AS, and then we've got a friend or an acquaintance saying, hey, yeah, she mentioned that, like, one of her guy friends was coming over that day.
Right.
for all the cops know, it's the boyfriend. Like, who would you assume? If she's seeing someone regularly, and if I'm seeing someone and I tell my friend, hey, I'm
gonna get tickets.
Some guy, one of my friends, he's a guy, he's coming over today. You go ahead and assume it's the boyfriend, right? So I'm sure the cops did too. So maybe when they cleared him, they were like, all right, that must have been the friend. I don't know. I don't know how the police work went on this one. This case is not a question of police work.
70s. It's a 70s interrogation.
It was also the 70s. Yes.
Where were you in the night of June?
So, yeah. So for one reason or another, he was clear, and the case is pretty stale. So now the police are at a dead end, like I said, and could not find a clear suspect to even start to look into. So with that, the case goes from stale to freezing cold. And it stays like that for several months. So this woman has passed away. Right. She was clearly murdered. And there's no physical evidence. And now the case has been just at a standstill for all I could find was several months. Couldn't find the exact date. So then, after a couple months, the phone at a police station rings.
Was it a janitor?
No. The caller was Dr. Jose Chua.
Yeah.
And Dr. Chua also happens to work for Edgewater Hospital. And he worked there when Teresita did as well. So he knows who Teresita Basa is in passing. Dr. Chua's wife also worked at Edgewater Hospital, and in fact was also a respiratory therapist. So she also knew who Teresita was. Now, Dr. Chua's wife was a respiratory therapist. She was a coworker with Teresita, but they weren't described as friends by any means. Coworkers, they were friendly. They're both Filipino. They both come from the same region in the Philippines. So, they talked about that.
They talked about some stuff, right?
Yeah.
Some personal stuff.
But everything is described as kind of in passing. Just kind of talking at work. It's not like they got drinks after work or came over for dinner.
But she'd tell somebody if she bought tickets for some event, venue, whatever.
I don't know.
It's I got something going on this Friday.
Maybe.
Yes.
But no, because, like I said, they're not friends.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I have friends at work and I have coworkers who I like, so I talk to them at work and that's great, but I wouldn't, if something good happened in my life, I wouldn't call them.
Okay.
But then I've got, one or two friends from work that I would call and be like, hey, oh my God, guess what happened? So, there's always that,
okay. Yeah.
Your coworkers. You have one coworker that you could say, you're still really good friends with and you were friends with while you work there. The rest were work friends,
Yeah.
Something wrong with it. It's just that's the way kind of dynamic go. So that's how this woman fell in. She was a coworker who was friendly, not by any means best friends or anything. But here's where things get a little complicated. So Dr. Chua sounds very hesitant. He sounds very... The tone I can think of is please forgive me for calling you, and I'm sorry I have to do this, but I feel ridiculous.
Okay.
So he's calling the police to share some very interesting information that he personally struggled with deciding to share because, like I just said, he admitted to the police he was so afraid of looking ridiculous. This man's a doctor. He's a man of science. So what I'm about to tell you makes zero sense, okay?
Sure.
And he damn well knows it. You see, what Dr. Chua wanted to tell the police for a few weeks now was that his wife, Remy Chua, Teresita's coworker, had been slipping into what looked like random but sudden trances.
What?
Yeah, they'll be sitting at the dinner table and suddenly she'll just be
waking out
No, in a trance.
Oh, yeah, that's what a trance is.
No, a trance is when you're
dazed, yeah. Oh, I thought it was more violent and vocal.
No, a trance is quiet. A trance is when you're completely hello, when you disassociated.
Okay.
So this person is in a trance. Not this person, his wife.
Teres. Oh.
No, Teresita's gone. Teresita's been dead for several months at this point.
Okay.
Remy, Dr. Chua's wife, was randomly and more than once falling into what he described as trances that he couldn't get her out of. But the weird thing about it, that wasn't weird enough, was that when she was in these trances, she would begin to speak in a voice that didn't sound like her. It sounded like another woman. And she wasn't speaking English. She was speaking Tagalog. Tagalog is a language spoken in Luzon and the neighboring islands and forming the basis of standardized national language of the Philippines.
She's speaking Filipino, is what you're saying.
Well, she's speaking a branch of Filipino. It's like what Tagalog is what like formed the language of Filipino. Like it's like the base.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of like Spanish and Castellano. They're both Spanish, but they'll have different words, different accents, but they're both technically Spanish. I know you have no idea what I'm talking about.
I was going to say Conyo, of course.
But yes. So, yeah, she was speaking in Filipino. And yeah, I know what you're about to ask, and that is Teresita's native language. So, Dr. Chua reported to the police that when Remy had been randomly slipping into what seemed like trances, the first time she did it, she said to him, Doctor, I would like to ask you for your help. Meanwhile, he's like, yeah, what's up? Because he thinks it's his wife. So he's like, yeah, what's going on? And he's realizing her voice is weird. And so he starts giving her his attention. And she says, the man who murdered me is still at large.
Wow.
Yeah.
What?
That's not even the weirdest part of the whole thing. So obviously he starts like asking her questions because he's like, what the hell is
he's like, who are you? He didn't ask.
That's exactly what he asks. Yes, exactly. Because he's probably like, what the fuck is going on? Hello. So he's like, okay. So he asks, who are you? And in that weird voice, his wife looks at him and says, I don't want to mispronounce it, but says like Akio, which is a word in Filipino, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
My name is Teresita Basa. And don't be scared. I just want your help solving my murder.
Oh my God.
Uh-huh. And she also, because remember, this happened in like multiple times.
In the 70s.
In the 70s, but I'm saying like she went into trances multiple times. It wasn't like one trance and then she's like, oh, who's that? Like,
no, I got that part.
Over a few weeks,
but she's speaking in another language that she doesn't know.
They're Filipino as well.
Oh, she's Filipino, so she knows the language though.
She knows Filipino, yes, but she's saying like really weird things, like my name is Teresita Basa, and my murderer is still at large. I need your help finding them. They weren't even friends. They were friendly. So listen, okay, yeah, sure. Maybe, workroom gossip, whatever. But like, why are you talking like you're a ghost? But it gets weirder. Like, just...
It gets weirder than what you just told me.
Yes, man. Hold on to your chair. Because during one of her trances, she told him, the man who murdered me's name is Alan Showery.
AS Tickets Man.
Mm-hmm. And he repaired my TV and then stabbed me and stole my jewelry.
Case closed. Choking. That's horrible.
The ghost, quote unquote ghost or whatever this is, also told Dr. Chua that she can give the names and phone numbers of people who could help him identify the jewelry that he stole, like family members. Because one of the pieces of jewelry was an expensive pearl ring that was from France that her mother had passed down to her. So now the police were obviously shocked and kind of thrown off, rightfully so, of course. But remember, like you said, the only useful clue that they were able to get from Teresita's apartment was that diary date book entry that said...
AS Tickets Man.
Yeah, get tickets for AS. And since they're the same initials, the police decided, what's the harm in following up? Thank God, right?
Sure.
Because I don't know if I'd blame them for writing this off either. Like, okay, crazy people are calling us about ghosts. Like, I think you should follow all leads, but I also believe in limited manpower and time, and you gotta pick your battles. And I don't know if I'd get mad at a cop for being like, yeah, they called because they were possessed. What did you want me to do? But these cops were like, listen, Alan Showery, AS, like. Yeah. Maybe we should look into this.
Yeah, they don't have anything else, right?
They don't have anything else, and this poor woman...
Sitting there collecting dust, I'm sure.
Yes, and people are scared. Like, they gotta figure this out. This is the 70s. A woman is found on fire with a knife in her chest. Like, your city is scared. Like, you got to do something, right? So they figured, let's just follow on this tip and see where it leads us. So they start looking into Alan Showery.
Is this when they had, like, a DNA database?
No, 1970s. DNA didn't even start becoming, like, kind of useful till, like, what, 92 or something?
Oh, is that right? 92?
I mean, I think in the 80s they started it, but it didn't become, like, regularly used. I want to say until early 90s. I could be wrong. I'm going to look into that because, you know, I love all that DNA crap.
Oh,
I grew up sneak watching Forensic Files when my mom would tell me not to. Mom, don't listen to this part. Lower the volume. But when my mom would always tell me when I'd go to bed, she would legit tell me, don't watch those weird shows on Discovery. And I'm like, yeah. What are you talking about? And what would I do? I'd wait until 10 p.m. and I'd turn on my TV and I'd put it on mute and I'd watch captions. And it was when Forensic Files had just come out. So it was the most intriguing thing I'd ever seen in my entire life. I wanted to be a forensic psychologist up until when? Like when I was 20, 28 maybe? And I was like, I guess I'll just be a lawyer.
But I want some of your books. Don't you remember when you wanted to
remember all my criminology books?
I remember that, yeah.
I'm the weirdo who was like, what if I become the coroner? And it's like, who wants to be a coroner, bro? And I'm like, I don't know, man. But like a medical examiner. Medical examiner sounded like the most fascinating
that's
job.
Funny you're saying that because there's a certain like branch of medicine that everybody dreads and it's pathology, but I love that.
I love pathology.
If you can keep me in a basement and then I have to figure out what happened to this based on like small little tidbits, that sounds like a fantastic day to me.
No, I think pathologists
We're going to cut this off so people don't think we're actual murderers doing
Nobody
the podcast.
Thinks. I don't think anyone thinks we're murderers, Isaac. We're good.
Dead bodies, all that stuff.
I know. The fact
it intrigues us. I'm sorry.
The fact that you were like...
It's the mystery. It's like what happened. And it's also the significance. What happened here. You know, it's
important.
Importance.
I think...
Yeah, of course.
I think a lot of people get... That's what the joy they get from their work when they are detectives, forensic scientists. I think a lot of the drive for the job, because we can both admit that job must be the most draining and like one of the hardest things, because all you see is tragedy, right? Looking into Alan Showery, they found out that he also was a coworker at Edgewater Hospital, and he was having hard financial times. So he was an orderly at Edgewater Hospital. And for some reason or another, Teresita and him had spoken at some point, so she knew that he was struggling financially. So she was actually trying to help him. And she was paying him generously for minor repairs and help with things around the house when she needed it. Because remember, she's a very petite woman living alone. Yeah. So she would call him to, like fix the sink, but she would pay him way more than you would pay someone, like a plumber to come to help him out. Exactly. So she's it just goes to show exactly what we said at the beginning. She's just a sweet, good-hearted person. So obviously when they questioned people at the hospital and they found all these connections, they decided that it was time to pay Mr. Showery a visit to his home. Again, and just because I like to be clear with the research, a lot of the articles said it was either his girlfriend's home or the home they shared together. So where the police are going right now, they're either going to go talk to him. Yeah, but either way, so they get there to the home with his pregnant girlfriend. She's pregnant. Yeah, Mr. Showery's girlfriend is pregnant. Okay. And when she came to the door, guess what? She was wearing a ring. Guess what the ring looked like?
What did it look like?
It was a pearl ring. Remember the pearl ring that Teresita's quote-unquote ghost had mentioned? Yeah. Like, described my pearl ring that my mother gave me that was bought in France. And here's, like, the name of who can confirm the ring if you find it. Yeah.
Right on her
Homegirl was wearing... it on her hand. Well, she doesn't freaking know. Showery's girlfriend said that he had recently given it to her under the guise of a late Christmas present. Remember, Teresita was murdered in February. So
that's pretty late.
But remember, they are having financial problems. So I can see like, hey, baby, like Christmas is hard. I promise I'll get you a gift, but like not right now. And then giving it to her when you can afford it, right? Like, so I mean, I can see how it's believable. Like, I mean, it like you said, it's pretty freaking late, but I get it if that's your, like, where you're at, you know?
Sure.
So police were able to search the home, and in the home they found multiple pieces of jewelry that were missing from Basa's home, including an emerald pendant that his girlfriend was also wearing. All things, she said, Mr. Showery gifted to her. She has no idea where they came from. So the evidence quickly began to pile up against Alan. But
You would think.
yeah, but not surprisingly, he denied any involvement.
I was never there.
Pretty much. But as the evidence continued to stack up against him, he could not account for any reason why his girlfriend would be wearing a ring and a pendant that belonged to Basa, and how other jewels ended up in his possession. But he finally felt backed into a corner, and faced with all these questions, he confessed. It was him that killed Teresita Basa. And that ring I told you about, the pearl ring that was handed down from her mother, Basa's cousin confirmed that that was indeed Basa's mother's ring that she had passed down to Teresa, just like Teresita's spirit said she was going to be able to do.
Wow.
Remy doesn't know her cousin. Remy doesn't know her family members, phone numbers, like what?
Why?
Crazy. Crazy. So, that being said, he confesses, but you know how the justice system works. You still get a trial. So,
That's nuts. I did it. Okay, well, we still have to question you.
it's the thing. So, opening of trial was in 1979, where jury selection, opening statements, everything was covered in Chicago newspapers. This was a huge focus in Chicago because they were obviously spotlighting the bizarre paranormal angle of it, right? People were fascinated. So, obviously, the defense, what do they have to argue with, right? So they argued that the testimony about quote unquote possession shouldn't be considered as credible. And I think that's pretty fair. I'm sorry.
Of course.
As a defense attorney, not criminal, but defense attorney nonetheless, I think that's a pretty fair thing. Like, I would argue that that's not admissible because what in the actual fuck? Like, what? I can just say I made shit up now. Like, oh, well, I had a dream. That's not evidence. But lucky for the prosecution, the evidence presented was the jewelry that belonged to Teresita that was found in Showery's possession and in possession of his girlfriend.
It's pretty big, isn't it?
I
Just to
think
have
so.
her jewelry.
They did use the testimony from both Remy Chua and Dr. Jose Chua about the trance episodes. So they still had the testimony of what was said through this possession. But they also had bolstering testimony from coworkers establishing that Alan Showery did know Teresita and that he had indeed been to her apartment in the past to do little errands here and there.
Well, didn't you say he was hanging up her TV?
He was fixing her broken TV when he murdered her. So, but yeah, what the other coworkers had confirmed was that he did know her. You know, A, yes, they knew each other and they spoke regularly, and B, that they knew he was going to her apartment multiple times to help her with things. So
He admitted it.
well, yeah, obviously, and then they have. But I mean, I'm sure once you get to trial, he's like, "No, I didn't confess to that," and, which happens all the time. So I'm pretty sure that the testimony or the confession was thrown out somehow because this was the evidence that they presented.
Oh, okay.
And like you said, it wouldn't be going to a jury really if they were like, no, I did it. I swear, I'm standing by that. I did it. They'll take a plea. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
So obviously, the defense's strategy was to suggest to the jury that Remy had fabricated her quote-unquote visions and that investigators had leaned far too heavily on supernatural claims rather than solid physical evidence.
Okay.
Which is a good defense.
Yeah, I was gonna say, who's gonna go to court and say, I fell in a trance, and or like you said, it came to me in a dream.
It shouldn't be, like, it shouldn't hold weight to put someone in prison, right? So I think that's a good defense. But then again, that's all they got, right? Because the other physical evidence is pointing right at this guy.
At the pearl ring.
All the jewelry, there was multiple pieces. So the girlfriend had the pearl ring and the emerald pendant, but there was a lot of other jewelry missing, and they found it in one of their possessions, either the girlfriend or his. So After a lengthy jury trial, the deliberations took forever and the jury was deadlocked.
Are you serious?
I swear. It notes that the split was 11-1 in favor of conviction. So a mistrial was declared. You know, we love mistrials. Not.
You know, I was gonna say this sounds too easy just to have all the evidence pointed at one person and then just end it all.
Yeah.
But I guess it's gonna.
We're
We're
back,
on a
baby.
We're back. Was it 2024? It comes back.
No, it's still in 1979, but now it's in July. So the last one was a mistrial declared in February of 1979, and they brought the case again in 5 months, in July of 1979. So, facing the likelihood of a conviction, Showery decided to accept a guilty plea. So he took a deal. He pled guilty to the murder of Teresita Basa, and I don't think they maintained the charges of arson because of the damaging of the evidence. I'm sorry.
But if he's admitting it, why do you need evidence? Or he's just admitting to murder?
Obstruction. One of the charges.
Oh,
So sometimes when you take a plea deal, they'll drop charges. So, like, you know how a lot of people take a plea deal
Yeah,
to
they'll
avoid the
say,
death penalty?
uh-huh.
If it's not a death penalty case, they'll do things like, okay, we have you
drop.
charged for first-degree murder, arson, kidnapping, like, you know, all the charges. We'll drop these 4, and you'll only do first degree. It seems like that's what was done because he pled guilty to the homicide of Teresita Basa and was sentenced to only 14 years in prison
For murder.
for murder. It gets so much worse. He was given credit for time served,
No.
and then he was given credit for good behavior. How much do you think he served before he was released?
I'm going to say like 5 years.
Exactly. 5 years. This man served 5 years for this brutal murder.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
No, I can't. I mean, anything's possible,
Right? He was released in the 1980s, like early 1980s. And this happened in 1979, the trial. Isn't that insane?
Wow. He's going to do it again. I mean, it's only a matter of time.
I agree. So he was sentenced to the 14 years. He did 5, released on good behavior. A murderer who lit a body on fire got released on good behavior. So,
I know. How does that make any sense?
You know, the train goes off the tracks sometimes. So, why?
Yeah.
It's like,
and then blows up.
Yeah, but like I said before, that's neither here nor there. So, while the physical evidence of the jewelry and the testimony from Dr. Chua, Remy, and other employees were the real evidence that had put Showery in prison, this is still to this day widely recognized as the peculiar case of the ghost who solved her own murder.
Sure.
But did she not?
She did, yes, but the bastard is...
No, I know, but that's, again, neither here nor there. I'm just saying, this
Yeah,
is the case
It is.
of the ghost who solved her own murder.
That is nuts.
Isn't that crazy?
So she possessed her coworker, Remy. Mm-hmm. And then she just said, hey, this is my murderer.
Said the name, said what
Something
jewelry was
Wow,
missing.
That's crazy. Wow, she even said the jewelry,
Yes,
too.
and she even said, like, and when you find the jewelry,
That's
this
true.
is
I
like,
was going to say she's full of shit because she probably just gossiped at work, but how could you know the jewelry?
exactly.
Yeah, there's no
And that
way.
my mother passed down this ring that she bought in France once.
Yeah,
And
that's
my
nuts.
cousin, and this is her phone number, and she can confirm the ring. And the police called the cousin, and she confirmed the frickin' ring.
Yeah, that's nuts.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's super weird. And these people are not, like, this isn't like Emily coming over and being like, yeah, that's her wedding ring. You know what I mean? Like, this is a coworker.
No, and to know all those details.
And an emerald pendant and a pearl. She's not wearing these things to work.
The details that happened after the murder. Too. Like the stolen
Yeah,
rings.
he was fixing the TV and he stabbed me. Like, listen, the stab, obviously, you're going to know because it's going to be in the news, right?
Well, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about he took these certain
Yeah.
sets of jewelry.
Exactly. Exactly what was missing. Who can confirm? It's crazy. It's the weirdest thing ever. And, like, that's literally all there is on this case. There's no, yeah. No one's ever been able to figure out how Remy knew these things. Dr. Chua still felt like a fool calling the cops, and he had to testify in, like, the hearings about...
My wife is having visions.
And he said it on the stand, you know, like, I felt ridiculous. I understood that I sounded crazy, but it got to a point where I had to say something. It was getting out of control. And she's never been possessed again, by the way. After all this was finally, like, done and the guy was in jail, no more trances.
Wow.
It's weird.
That is very weird.
It's weird. I'm not saying that that's what happened. I'm just saying that's what they're telling me happened, okay? And no one's been able to tell me it's not what happened.
Yeah, this is nuts.
Crazy. So, that was the case of Teresita Basa. Short and
Yeah. Did
sad.
she really get justice, though, for 5 years? I don't think so.
No, of course she didn't get justice. It's horrible. But at least they caught the person. And imagine if she got nothing at all, right? If her family never knew who did this. If the people who lived in that apartment building never knew who did this. Imagine how scared you would be.
Yeah.
If your neighbor was murdered and you don't know who did it. They're still out there. It's like, whoo. Granted, obviously after 5 years, the fear comes back. But, you know, it was targeted. You know, it's ridiculous. I agree. 5 years is a joke for murder. People do 5 years for, like, marijuana possession. All right. So that was the case. So before we conclude, we're going to play a quick game, Isaac.
Would I rather this or that?
Yes. We're going to play Would You Rather. Okay? Would you rather sit in a room for a day with Ted Bundy or Richard Ramirez?
Probably Ted Bundy.
Why?
I think I could take him.
Do you think he'd try to kill you?
Good question.
I just said sit in a room.
Would he try to kill me? Probably not. No, that's actually a good take on it. He wouldn't try to kill me because I'm not like the
You're not his
I'm not
type.
a typical victim. Yeah, I'm not his type.
He didn't kill men.
Yeah,
So we could just say it straight out.
Richard
He didn't
Ramirez
kill
didn't
men.
really care. He just
Richard Ramirez killed anybody.
Yeah, he's crazy. I feel like he's just a little too nuts.
I think I'd rather be in the room with Bundy also.
Yeah. Well, no, you're a girl.
Yeah, but I'd rather Bundy than Ramirez.
He's gonna be like, hey, can you hold my books?
Yeah, and I'd be like, hey, go fuck yourself. No, when have I ever stopped to help a man? It's not going to happen.
No, he's weird. I don't know.
If a man came up to me and was like, can you help me hold this? I'd be like, why? Like, that's weird. You know what I mean? But, yeah, Richard Ramirez, like you said, was just, he didn't give a shit. He was just crazy.
Yeah, he was nuts. He was crazy. I saw that documentary. That was nuts.
I know.
The Night Stalker.
Yeah, he was a nutcase. So, I mean, they both were. Don't get me wrong. Let's listen. My answer is neither freaking one of them. But if I had to pick, I really think I'd pick Bundy over Richard Ramirez. I really do. I do. Ramirez was nuts, man. Anyway,
He was a small guy, wasn't he? He was
No.
a skinny
Skinny
guy
and tall.
on meth.
skinny and tall.
Skinny and tall.
But so was Bundy. Bundy wasn't like jacked.
Wasn't jacked, but he was, he
He's like an
well
average guy.
fed. Yeah.
Would you rather spend the night in a haunted graveyard or an abandoned asylum?
I almost asked a stupid question.
What?
Is the abandoned asylum inhabited?
No. I have an answer you won't see coming. No. It was inhabited at one point. Now it's abandoned.
I'm not going to go to the graveyard. I don't care. What, you said haunted graveyard?
A haunted
Yeah, it
graveyard.
doesn't matter whether it's haunted or not. It's a graveyard. Graveyard's a graveyard. I would not. Take me to the asylum.
You'd spend the night in an abandoned asylum over a graveyard?
You wouldn't?
No. I'd pick a graveyard.
It's a hospital room, no?
Can you imagine what it feels like in there, though?
It's a room that's white.
All right, then knock yourself out, bro. I'm going to go, like, hang under the stars and just ignore the sounds I hear around me and go to sleep.
But listen, you're talking a graveyard. You're talking about being amongst the dead, literally.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean... What are they going to do?
I mean, look, the same thing could be said about an asylum. What's an abandoned asylum going to do?
Okay, this is going to sound so, like, woo, but, like, I'm more on, like, energies. And I feel like the energy in a graveyard will be far more bearable than in an abandoned asylum. Where, like, God
because
knows
people are
what the hell
tortured.
happened. Yeah.
You feel like there's like trapped energy.
100%. You're going to tell me lovely things happened at an asylum that now had to be shut down?
Well, look,
and you're going to tell me that shit doesn't stay in the walls?
but those bodies had to go somewhere at the end. They go to the graveyard. That's where they live. That's their home.
Yeah, they're chilling.
They're chilling.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you something weird. Okay, I actually.
Oh, don't tell me you experienced this.
No,
Oh, okay.
I don't mind graveyards at all. Like even as a child, whenever we'd go to see, my mom would always take me to go to my grandfather's grave, and we'd like clean it up and put flowers. I loved it.
Be calm.
I'd never remember feeling creeped out.
Really?
And I used to walk around because they have a beautiful war memorial in that cemetery. And it's right down the row from my grandfather. And I used to like walk to it and read the names. And I never felt weird. Don't get me wrong. I'm not like, oh my God, I love hanging out at cemeteries. It's like my favorite thing. No.
Oh yeah, it's
but I'm not uncomfortable in them.
They do that. The funeral homes, they make it like a calming atmosphere.
Funeral homes freak me out. Now.
Yeah.
One last one.
Yeah.
Would you rather live in a house that has a ghost problem or a roach problem?
A roach problem, probably. Because I could kill roaches. I can't kill ghosts.
No.
You can't get rid of a ghost.
I'm sure you can get rid of a ghost.
What?
I'm sure you can get rid of a ghost one way or another.
No, I don't buy that.
You just think they hang?
Well, look. How do you get rid of a ghost? You got to go to a priest, interview.
You can call Ghostbusters.
Call Ghostbusters. With a roach, I could just go to Walmart, right? With a roach problem, I could just go to Walmart.
I don't know. I don't agree. I am petrified of roaches. I will take a ghost over a roach any day.
Yeah, right.
Any
Shut
day.
up until you see a ghost, and then you run upstairs all scared.
No, that's never happened.
When's the last time you seen a ghost?
When I was in college.
Oh, God, that story you told me.
No, I haven't been able to tell it to you. I'll tell it to you, but I'll tell it to you at the beginning of the next episode.
Okay.
So my ghost story will be at the next episode. And that's it for today. So tune in next time for episode 3. Thanks for listening. This is Married to Macabre.
It's Married to Macabre. You're right.
That's Isaac. I'm Dee. We love you. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.